Hey there guys and girls, how you doing? It is Thefloorhugger, and instead of doing a day-by-day coverage of E3 like I have done previous years, I decided to just take all the days and events I watched and paid attention to and just put it into one massive article and video. I will be posting the article on my blogs, which will have links down below. And for full disclosure, I watched all my E3 coverage from The Know, the Rooster Teeth production, and when they streamed the conferences, and I watched their after talks as they did it as well. And I'll also only be covering the 4 days of industry conferences, so like the press conferences, and not the open to the public 3 days. Also, if you would like to donate to the channel, there is a link in the description below. I'm at least going to be playing Assassin's Creed, but I would also like to get a new streaming camera and maybe the Xbox One X. That does not roll off the tongue when it comes out. Like I said, link in the description below. So day one started with the EA's conference, which was a pretty good conference. The conference kicked off strong with a delightful selection of sports and racing games, which some of them I might pick up, I don't know. Madden 18 looked pretty dang sweet to me, and Forza 7. I'm a fan of this Forza series, but I've never bought it because I don't have an Xbox. But now that it has Play Anywhere and you can play it on Windows 10 PC, I might just get it. I don't know yet. Some of which caught my eye, and it finished off with the fan favorite and much anticipated Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, I didn't watch it live, but I watched the replay from The Know, and I caught all the tweets and live tweets and all that stuff after. They did start off announcing the new Battlefield 1 map pack, which has night maps. I can't remember, is it something of the Tsar? I can't remember what it's called. But then it followed with the other half of EA's sports division, which was FIFA, another racing game, I can't remember what it was. Was it Need for Speed? I think it was Need for Speed, and football, Madden, Long Shot, Madden 18, whatever they're calling it these days. Then came a title that looks interesting if it can be pulled off right, and it came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. It's called A Way Out by the creators of A Brother, A Tale of Two Sons. That game was heart-wrenching to play. And then more sports games followed after that, NBA, a little bit more Madden, and then they ended the conference with 30-minute gameplay, live gameplay. People were actually there in the EA Play section playing Battlefront 2 Star Wars. My opinions of this conference, it was okay. It wasn't as strong as they've had previous years, previous years, but it wasn't horrible either. I watched mainly for the Star Wars, and I was pleasantly surprised by A Way Out. I was not expecting a game like that, the purely co-op, story-based game that came out of it. I will add, Star Wars, it does look good. The first one looked amazing too. And it will include a single player. I'm not on the hype train personally. My memory's not short, and we've been burned before. I remember last year's game, Battlefront 1. It looked good, but it was empty, and by the time they fixed it, half the community was gone. But aside from that, it was a good show, and gave us a good look of what's coming up and what to expect in the next year, year and a half from EA. Day 2 was Microsoft, followed by a surprisingly late showing of Bethesda, which was 11 PM for me. And I know, like, for people on the East Coast, what was it, almost 2, 3 in the morning? It was a surprisingly late show, but we'll get to that soon. Once Microsoft's show started, they dropped right away the new console, the Xbox One X or the XOX, for $499. They spent a good chunk of time talking about the console, talking about the specs, the flops, the hardware that's going to be in it, and they talked about what exactly the system is, 4K and all that, and even if you don't have a 4K, they have super sampling, which raises the 1080p up to look like 4K, and then what to expect from it. They then moved on to showing the first game, Forza 7. I think I mentioned in just now in EA that they showed Forza 7. I don't know if they did. I have to watch that again. Jesus. And they showed the brand new Porsche that was built to coincide with this game. I wasn't expecting that. I went to a video game show, not a car show. Whatever. Bless Microsoft for giving me a game that I didn't see coming, but I definitely want to get, Metro Exodus, because that show looks amazing. Now, I've heard people say it's open world. I don't know how a Metro game would be open world, and I personally, I might do a video on this later on. I don't think games need to be open world. I know that's a selling point for a lot of games, but like, as much people are gonna get uppity about this, GTA, especially GTA 5, does not need to be an open world. Technically, it's not an open world. It's an open world that you can do a lot of shit in, but the game itself is not open world, because the game world is so empty once you're done your missions. So personally, I don't think not every game needs to be open world, especially like another example would be Mafia 3. Mafia 3 did not need to be open world because there's not really much to do if you're not doing the stories, and to make it seem like you're using a lot of the world, they put the mission points so far, and no fast travels, but they're so far away that you're driving through the world and you're appreciating it, or you're just driving and be like, okay, I hope I get there soon. So that it feels like you're using a lot of the world when you're actually not. But anyway, that's for another day. But yeah, I'm really sold on this Metro Exodus. It looks amazing. Now, more than likely beginning the game, I have the other two, Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, both amazing games. And then they teased us with some early Assassin's Creed Origins gameplay, which signed mommy up for that because I am excited. And then they told us to expect more at the Ubisoft show, which it did. It's amazing. Then they showed us some Players Unknown Battlegrounds, which is coming to Xbox. State of Decay 2, 4K Minecraft, which, okay, whatever. A new Dragon Ball Z game, Black Desert, which is a PC MMO, which is an amazing PC MMO. Even though it's not free, it's like $11 or something like that. The customization on that game is amazing. The Last Night, which I fell in love with because it's got this like pixel 8-bit style, like kind of retro, but not quite. It's just beautiful. I'm into it. I can't wait to hear more about The Last Night. We also got some more from Sea of Thieves, which was adorable. I love the snarky British commentator. He killed it the entire time. We got Crackdown 3 with Terry Crews leading the very cool trailer of it. Still on the fence about Crackdown 3. I appreciated the originals, they just weren't my cup of tea, you know? And they rolled out some smaller games in like a giant, not giant, but like a couple 2-minute roll. I will mention Ooblets because that caught my eye as freaking adorable. Shadow of War was then fun to see and learn some of the features, like you can control people, you can, new story bits, it's just, oh, it looks so good. Shadow of War looks so good. But I'm not gonna lose my mind in getting in the hype train for it. Ori and the Will of the Wisps was also mentioned, and that game is heartbreaking. It had me emotional in the first 2 seconds. It didn't even show gameplay, really. It just showed a continuation of Ori and the Blind Forest. They also announced the original Xbox One backwards compatibility games. Jesus, that was hard. And Crimson Skies leading the charge, well, along with a few other games, but they can't talk about them right now. My last and favorite part of the announcement was Anthem. And it really blew me away to see BioWare take on a new IP, because we've known BioWare for a long time. They do Star Wars. If you guys didn't know, BioWare has done multiple Star Wars games, and they have running right now a free-to-play Star Wars game. And they also do Dragon Age and Mass Effect. And Neverwinter and all them stuff, but like that's what we know them for: Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Star Wars. So it's nice to see them take on a new IP. But this also may explain why Mass Effect Andromeda suffered so much, and it wasn't as exceptional as it could have been. The game wasn't horrible. I just finished actually playing it. I love Mass Effect Andromeda, but it could have been a lot better. I also, like I said, I'll also be doing my review on Mass Effect Andromeda. I just want to wait for a few more patches to see if it changes my rating at all. But a lot of the A-team was probably working on this, and that's why Mass Effect Andromeda suffered so much. They're probably getting ready for E3 and to show Anthem, because that's probably not what the finished game is going to look like. More than likely, it's not what the finished game is going to look like. But god damn, did that look amazing. I hope you can free fly around. The creatures you saw, the weapons, the interaction. I know a lot of trailers do, I call it dead commentary, which they have actors record what simulated voice chat would be. If you want to look for a famous example, The Division did it before it came out. It's just actors recording what people would sound like online, so it's not a dead trailer or an empty trailer, and it gives a visual representation. It's really annoying that they do it, but it sells games, I guess. But this trailer looks, this gameplay looks amazing. And it'll be interesting to see as time goes what the game will eventually look like. Like I said, I can guarantee you it's not going to look like what we just saw last week or this week. It definitely will not look like that, but it will look good nonetheless because it's BioWare. And they don't half-ass things. And then they ended the show with a look-back roll of just whatever was shown. Anthem, what did I say? Crackdown, Ooblets, Black Desert. They just did a roll of that. And Microsoft really wanted to push the Play Anywhere this year with more of a selection. Who knows, maybe it'll just take off, because before it was only like 5 games, and now they're trying to get at least 20 to 30, I think they said, and as it goes on, we'll know more. Now, if you guys were following me on Twitter at Thefloorhugger, you would have known how I was losing my absolute shit about this next conference. All I can say, and I don't have much to say on this, was the Bethesda show was they didn't need a press conference. Plain and simple. It is a very, very expensive way to announce games. Games that... Anyway, let me just cut to it. It's a very expensive way because you have to rent the theater, you have to book the theater, you have to get all your equipment in, make sure all the rolls are done, all the gameplay's there, all the trailers. It's just a lot of work for... Well, I think it was like a 45-minute show, half an hour show if that. It was a very expensive way to announce Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, which is a standalone game from Dishonored 2. They announced Fallout 4 and Doom VR, which Bethesda had a heavy influence on VR this year. I'm surprised. They announced The Evil Within 2, which the trailer was creepy as shit, but so amazing. And Wolfenstein 2, what is it? The Colossus something. The Wolfenstein 2 trailers, there's 2 that stand out. The Lysel, whatever, the fire-breathing dog, and then the action figures. And one of the devs was actually saying you can buy the action figures. Those were cool. The trailers were awesome. They also announced a Quake beta, and competitive play is going to take a heavy influence in the new Quake game, which I would be surprised if it didn't. We have Overwatch, thank Quake. We have Unreal Tournament, thank Quake. Quake is basically the birthplace of modern competitive shooters. Although Wolfenstein and Doom are like the birthplace of shooters, but Quake is the birthplace of rocket jump and competitive shooters. Compared to the show last year where they announced Fallout 4, Fallout Shelter, where they pretty much stole the show and the show was amazing, this year was kind of like meh. And I say that in the nicest way possible, meh. I like what they showed, but it was late at night. It was really short, like really short. Everybody else had at least an hour and a half, 2 hours planned, and theirs was short. There was not much to it. There was weird stuff going on with the stream. I don't know what happened, but I was watching The Know, and multiple streams were reporting that it was just like it was playing, and then it would like jump back. It was like they didn't know the stream itself was skipping, so that kind of took away the experience because I'm like, I don't know what to do. I liked that Bethesda is now at the conference more often, but I don't think they need to be at the conference more often unless they're gonna blow us out of the water. I just want Bethesda to know, like I said, they don't need to do a conference. I understand why, and people fought for a long time to get Bethesda to do a conference because for years they wouldn't. And last year was the first year in a while, and it's just like, you didn't need to. Even though I like Dishonored, Death of an Outsider, Fallout 4, and Doom VR, Evil Within, and Wolfenstein 2, the show fell flat for me. It felt like a lot more was missing, and I feel like maybe on floor, like the last 3 days announcements would have been better, or even releases their own little show on Twitter, or not Twitter, YouTube. I think that would have gone over a lot better and saved them a lot more money, because you can look around or you can watch a stream for yourself. A lot of people agreed that that was kind of a flop of a show and it could have been done differently, maybe. Day 3 was by far my favorite show day, with Ubisoft knocking it out of the park, followed by Sony. Can we all agree how cute Miyamoto and Yves were? They were both adorable as they announced the Mario and Rabbids crossover. The XCOM looking Mario game caught my attention more than I thought it would, considering I'm not a fan of RTS games and I haven't played a Mario game since Super Nintendo. Yeah, probably. That was probably the last Mario game I played. But the game looks downright adorable, especially the Rabbid dressed as Princess Peach. Shit kills me every time. After that, a game that you guys, if you guys know me, you know I'm looking forward to and the most excited about, Assassin's Creed Origins. But first off, let me say that Ubisoft has lost their damn mind, because in Canada, the Legacy Edition, it comes with the statue and all that, is $1,000. $1,000, and my friend in the UK said it's $800 for him. Like, what? And if you want, I will put a screenshot in somewhere, and I will show you. It is $1,000 for the Legacy Edition. So Ubisoft, you ain't getting my money on that one, but you might get my money on the regular edition. Let's see. We'll see. But I'm gonna buy it anyway. I'm probably gonna stream it. And if you guys would like to donate below for a new streaming camera, let me know, or just donate and I will mention you guys in the next video. Now, with that out of the way, about Ubisoft losing their damn minds, I'm praying and hoping to all God that this time off, it's been 2 years I think since Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Rogue came out with Unity, but Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I hope it's really helped the franchise. I'll be getting it, and I'll be streaming it, like I said, either on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Thefloorhugger, or my channel right here. How long have we wanted an Assassin's Creed game set in Egypt? With our last one, not the last one, the one that came with Unity, it was set in China, Assassin's Creed China, I can't remember the name of it. It was good, but how long have we wanted a game set in the roots, set during the time of Cleopatra? If Cleopatra's in this game, but set during ancient Egypt times, and they finally sat down, they listened, and just been like, okay, here you go. You guys, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna think about it. I also want to mention that on the newest Assassin's Creed, there is no more minimap. There is a, like, Skyrim style waypoint bar at the top, so I'm like, yes, declutter that screen, thank you very much. I also gotta mention that the Assassin's Creed series is 10 years old with this game. Ugh, makes me feel old. They didn't show much at the Microsoft conference, or no, at the fucking Ubisoft conference. They did a strange move and cut off the gameplay of somebody playing on a screen instead of showing us the actual gameplay. Almost like they held the gameplay hostage till after the conference, where you had to go to the Ubisoft site or Ubisoft official stream to see actual gameplay of the game. It was a weird move, but it made you want to actually search it out, and you had to wait till after the entire Ubisoft conference, which was, I understand why they did it, it was a little strange compared to what had been done previously. After my fangirl moments, we got a quick look at Crew 2, which I must say looks good, and I may get it not at full price. I'll either get it on a sale, or when you play, Ubisoft has their free game events. That's how I got both the Crew and Crew for PC, PS4, and then they had their 30th anniversary or whatever it was, and I got Beyond Good and Evil, I got Prince of Persia, Rayman, like a couple other games they had during their celebration. The Fractured Butthole, I love saying that, the Fractured Butthole, which was so fourth wall breaking and fun looking, came after the Crew too. a weird looking VR title that we know nothing about that had Elijah Woods in the trailer called Transference. Out of left field came a game that looks a lot like the good parts of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which includes the shanties, I might add. A game called Skull and Bones, and they had a trailer that showed a giant sea monster called, I'm assuming it was a Kraken, but we didn't get a good look at it. And I'm like, yes, sign me up. I joined the beta just so I could be like, sign me up for this. We also got a look at Starlink, which is a interesting game because you have an adapter on your controller, this big bulky thing where you can attach, you have a ship and you attach parts to the ship and you, I don't know, it looks weird. Another Just Dance game, and some Steep DLC for the, what is it? The new Olympics, the Winter Olympics. I'm not even going to say it because I don't even know how to say it. The new Winter Olympics coming up in 2018. Then after that came the Big Daddy, I think one that a lot of people were anxious for, Far Cry 5. I haven't played Far Cry since... Oh shit, I did play Far Cry 4. I didn't play Far Cry Primal though. Although my favorite one has to be Far Cry Blood Dragon. I'm glad that it's a standalone. I'm glad that it's not a full experience of a game. I think it's only a couple hours long because it was awesome, but I think if you were submerged in that for a long time, you would have just like, ugh. But Far Cry 5, which I was gonna pass on, to be quite honest. I was like, I thought it was just, I heard negative reviews about Primal. I watched a bit of Primal and it was just a reskin Far Cry 4, and I'm like, I'm not here for this. I will still have to see the gameplay of this, but it looks awesome. And there's a doggo that brings you guns. Yeah. And at last, but definitely not least, this year's E3 winner, and a surprise for all of us, well, all of us old enough to know, and a trailer that got me, like, what the hell am I watching kind of moment, was a trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2, almost 15 years since the first one. It was an emotional moment for a lot of us that fell in love with the original Beyond Good and Evil, which is an amazing game. At the time of writing this, right now, the 15th, GOG has a sale on Beyond Good and Evil, and I also know Steam is having a sale on Beyond Good and Evil. If you can, pick that shit up. This game is amazing. It's dated, yes, but it is amazing. I'm not even gonna pretend that I didn't get emotional watching this, and I teared up just like everybody else there did, and if you watched it, don't admit that you didn't get teary if you played the original one. That moment right there reminded me, with all the hate, the dev bashing, the people attacking each other over video games, what it's like to love gaming and what gaming is about. It brought me back to when I was a kid, and it was just about falling in love with the game, not scores or reviews, just being there in the game, being in the world, experiencing it for what it was without someone shitting on it at every turn. And it's been a lot of you guys maybe younger, or you guys might be older, and you may not have come from a time where there wasn't scores and reviews and people shitting on your game. Yes, in my day there was still scores and reviews, but it wasn't internet. You had to buy a magazine. You had to go to a library if you could and see if the magazine was there and then read it there. But it brought me back, right back to that time of like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Beyond Good and Evil, the first Prince of Persia, like just like way back, and it felt good. And I got really emotional because they said that the game wasn't going to be there, and lo and behold, there dropped some Beyond Good and Evil trailer, and it was amazing. Now, almost every game I have to double check that Ubisoft announced will be coming out, except for Beyond Good and Evil 2, will be coming out this year or early next year. I have to double check that though. Then PlayStation came with an amazing opening with beautiful sitar music announcing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and I'm probably not gonna get it because I don't actually own any Uncharted games. But I am excited to see it because I did like Chloe. She was kind of badass and cool. Followed by Uncharted was Sony making it rain in the theater, making it snow in the theater, sorry. Followed to announce the DLC of the beautiful and it's so damn underappreciated Horizon Zero Dawn called The Frozen Wilds. I am more than likely gonna get this DLC just because I freaking love Horizon Zero Dawn. Such an amazing game, but so underrated. Days Gone gameplay followed with a nice show of the world, the infected, combat, stealth, and a nice intro into the main character. Monster Hunter World was announced, followed by an announcement of The Shadow of the Colossus. Yes! Remastered for PS4. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which was announced after. I hate to admit it, that's when they started to lose me during the show. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite looks like a good game, you guys know me, I'm into Mortal Kombat and Injustice, and that's pretty much where my fighting game love kind of goes. Because I grew up with Mortal Kombat, and Injustice I just like to whip the shit out of superheroes because their finishing moves and their supers are amazing. Ugh! If you can't tell by my live tweeting, again, at Thefloorhugger on Twitter, it's just, the show lost me there. It was like, okay, I get it. I'm at a Sony conference, this is what I expect, but it's losing me. After that came Call of Duty World War II, and you guys know me. My channel started off as a Call of Duty channel, but not anymore, because I discovered other games. At least this time I won't be getting it either. No matter how good it looks, if I really wanted a war experience like that, I would get Battlefield 1, but I'm not gonna say I'm gonna count it completely out. It's just, as it stands now, no. Call of Duty's not my franchise. I'm too deep into Overwatch right now. But it's good to see it set back on Earth and going back to its roots. It looks beautiful, but like I said, not the game for me. Then came VR stuff, which completely lost me. I took to Twitter, Instagram, everything to try to make it through it. They mentioned Skyrim. Skyrim was mentioned at almost every single conference. I'm pretty sure it was mentioned at every single conference. Then came the other two games stood out for me. Star Child, which is a really cool looking platformer, and Moss, which, oh my god, it looks so cute. It's a nice little platformer. Then they came back strong with God of War. Kratos looks good, strong, so does the kid, the game looks beautiful. It's still weird to see him using an axe and not the chains of Olympus, but the game looks good. Diving deep into the Norse mythology, at least I think it's Norse. I don't know. It looks Norse with the Sea of the World snake that came out at the end and was talking to the boy, although that kind of looked like Leviathan from Final Fantasy 15 as well. They showed us a little more story, a little more combat, some environments and creatures we'll face in this newest installment. That's what God of War is always good at. They're giant monsters, giant set pieces, making, no matter how mighty Kratos was, making you feel like the tiny insignificant ant under a god's boot. Then we went into a game that I feel is going to have a lot of people absolutely love it, or a lot of people hate it. It's going to be right down the middle with everything they have. You're going to love it, you're going to hate it, you're not going to be in between. It's just a feeling I have, because this style of game usually has people like that. It's Detroit Becoming Human. It reminds me a lot of Indigo Prophecy and what's the other one? Deadly Premonition. There's people that freaking love those games, and there's people that are just like, these are shit. It looks interesting. I'm not gonna make any assumptions because this is the first time I've heard about this game, and I don't want to judge it too harshly because, like I said, never heard of it before now. I'll just have to wait and see what it is. I'm not gonna get it because, like I said, not into games like that. Then we saw a new Destiny 2 trailer. I tweeted out on my Twitter, Destiny 2 is really gonna have to be massive. We're hyped for it, but we did the same thing for Destiny 1 as well. And I stand by that statement. As much as I am a fan of Destiny and all the work that goes into it, it should be said, and I made almost the same statement for Battlefront 1, we got hyped and we got burned. So I'm gonna reserve myself. Destiny 1 was actually why I bought my PS4, and it was good, it just wasn't enough. I know there's a lot of stuff now, but even if you burn through that stuff, like I burned through the Taken King in a few days, there's not much left. And if I'm gonna grind in a game, rise and grind, I'm gonna do it in Overwatch, or I'm gonna do it in a single player game, or some other MMO, not Destiny. But all I can say is it looks good. They ended the show with a new Spider-Man, which, booyah, about time. Looks like so much fun. We haven't had a proper web slinger game, I knew it was going to get out eventually, in a while. The last Spider-Man I played was The Amazing Spider-Man on PS4, which I did like, but before that was Spider-Man 3 on the PS2. It's been a while, because most of the other games were, pardon my language, were kind of shite. So, if that can get me back into web slinger games, then freaking sign me up right now, please. Nintendo wrapped up the pre-conference shows. It was a short and sweet show full of family-friendly games and the standard IP titles. It started off with a hot pre-roll of new games coming to the Switch like Rocket League, FIFA, Splatoon 2, and ARMS, just to name a few. This was followed by the first game trailer, which was a lengthy showing of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A new Kirby Switch game was then announced, which looks so adorable. I love Kirby games. I haven't played a Kirby game in a while, but they are just, I love the art style and love how happy. You can't be pissed off playing a standard Nintendo IP title, because they're usually Mario, Yoshi, what else is there? Kirby, and there's a couple others. It's just so adorable. They also talked about, in a moment of realness that I don't think a few people were expecting, how happy they were that the Switch was doing well, and they told us that we were concerned at first, but then we're happy at how it's selling and how people are enjoying the console. The Pokemon Company then announced Pokken Tourney Deluxe is going to the Switch, and a still nameless RPG Pokemon game is in the works, which, thank God. I think the last I haven't played Pokemon in too long. I had it emulated on my phone for a bit, but it's not the same. I used to play it on Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Ooh, did I just age myself a little bit there? My favorite announcement from the concert was a game name screen for Metroid Prime 4. It feels like it's been a really long time since the last good Metroid. Not as long as Beyond Good and Evil 2, mind you, yes, but still a long time. Feel it in my bones, it's been too long. Yoshi's Woolly World is getting another game into the Q franchise, but it's just called Yoshi, so I don't know if that's a working title or the final game title. They then displayed more of the previously announced Fire Emblem Warriors, which was, I don't know, I've never been a big Fire Emblem fan, but that looked really good. And then proceeded to show more Skyrim on the Switch. Skyrim, you would have thought Skyrim was coming out this year. There was so much, I think every conference had a little bit of Skyrim in it. I would have to go back and watch all of them again, but pretty sure every conference had a little bit of Skyrim in there. It was then chased by 2 DLC announcements for The Breath of the Wild, which I still want to play. There is, what is it? It is on PC, it is emulated, but I kind of want to play it on its native Switch. We'll see what comes out of it. The DLC packs are called the Master Trials, which is a Horde mode style, and the Champion's Ballad story DLC. They then dropped 4 Champion amiibos as well. I definitely want the Erebos and Mipha statues, although some unfortunate placing on the Erebos stand. One, if you guys know, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just like, ooh, they couldn't have figured another way to mount her onto the amiibo platform. I don't even have anything that can run amiibos, but I definitely want those amiibos. They're just cute. Reggie also mentioned how they want to bring ARMS, Pokken Tournament, and Splatoon 2 into the Nintendo competitive circuit. Mario plus Rabbids was also shown again. That was a surprise entry and a knockout entry for me. I didn't think I would like it, but I watched all of it. All of the Mario Rabbids coverage. Like I said, not a fan of RTS or XCOM style games, but that one, just maybe might get me into them again, if I eventually get a Switch. The conference then ended with the new Mario game, Mario Odyssey, and the trailer felt like a bit of an acid trip. It was fun, it was crazy, the music was just like, okay, I'm grooving to this, but I don't know why. Then after the conference, they had some smaller announcements on their Nintendo post-show talk. I think it was Nintendo Treehouse or whatever it was called. And then they showed a new Metroid game, which, thank you. And we got 9 minutes of Mario Odyssey gameplay. Ooh, did you hear my voice there? Mario Odyssey gameplay. And it looks fun. It looks massive, which fan of. Mario games never seem to end sometimes. And I'll just hold my breath and see what else is coming out. Because the first chunk they were on, I don't know if it was training stages, but it looked kind of dull, kind of bland. But then they went to this Cinco de Mayo style world, and it was pretty cool. It was fun. Saw Mario in a little poncho and sombrero. It was so cute. The conference overall was short and sweet. I think it was only an hour long. Not much caught my eye besides the new Metroid game, but it was a well done show. Usually I'd never really pay attention to the Nintendo show because it's so family friendly and usually they don't have anything that I want or I don't have the console. But this time, it was pretty cool, and maybe it might eventually push me to get a Switch, but right now, I'm still gonna hold off. The rest of E3 was for the public, which was the first year that E3 was open to the general public. I was planning to go at first, but then I have to save money to move across the country. One day I hope that I can end up going to E3 and either meeting some of you guys that are going to be there, meet some of the people I've been talking to online, and just meet industry professionals and talk to people in the industry that I plan to spend my career in. There were further dev talks the following 4 days. Well, yeah, 4 days. Because after the Nintendo conference is when the devs talks started happening and the interviews and all that, and the open floor where you could go walk around and explore. They talked about the games that were previously announced or releasing dates for games that we already knew about, like Lawbreakers got a release date and a release price. The E3 was a hit and miss with certain things this year. It was a good show overall, but I will. If you guys watched this far already, you already know my griping points so far. I'm very excited to see what companies like Microsoft are going to do, what Ubisoft is going to do, Nintendo. I'm looking more towards what they're going to do with their tech, not their games. And EA was pretty good. I'm even interested to see what Bethesda is going to do. Sony, you got my ear, Sony. I'm always paying attention to you. And the games they'll be publishing over the next year and beyond, because only Ubisoft's conference said almost everything's going to come out this year. But everybody else was either next year, or late this year, next year, or even further down from that, like Anthem. I don't expect Anthem to be done. I give it a year and a half, maybe 2 years, because I can tell you everything that happened in that little, 10-minute clip of gameplay probably took, if not a year, a couple months. Like, over 6 months. Like, interfering with Mass Effect Andromeda time. But you guys already know how I feel about that. I think the best conference, hands down, was Ubisoft, because they showed so much and most of their trailers were so entertaining, especially the Far Cry 5 one. That one got me. That was funny. The Microsoft show was good, but it didn't have the wow factor that the Ubi show did. And also, Ubi brought Assassin's Creed, so they win hands down for me anyway. I know that sounds a little biased, but you guys gotta agree, if you watch the Ubi show, it was really good. Sony's show lost me halfway through, especially around the VR time. I mean, I was watching it, I thought Starchild is super cute, and Moss is so cute that I would love to see somebody play it. I'm not gonna get it myself because I don't want to get a PlayStation VR because I get motion sick with VR. Anyway, that's not what I'm gonna go on here. Nintendo's were nice, but they held very little for a gamer like me who is into Overwatch, Battlefield, The Witcher. You guys know the type of games I play. And well, Bethesda could have done better or not had a show at all. Those are just my thoughts and opinions. If you watched this far, leave a comment below on your thoughts on E3 this year, your favorite conference, and how you would rate each conference and the overall rating. The overall rating I would give to this E3 is like a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. It was good. It wasn't stunning. Last year was a little better, but also not as good. I don't know. Let's say last year's Bethesda show was a lot better. So yeah, I'll give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. I know this is a long video. I wanted to go into as much detail as I could about everything, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye guys.